Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Asian Vision Dialogue with me, Sreynou, as the host of today's program. As you may know, for the East in Central Asia, an important summit has just been wrapped up in Uzbekistan. And what is more interesting is that among the world leaders, we have seen China, Xi Jinping, Russia, Vladimir Putin, and India, Narendra Modi were together for this security forum. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now to discuss the significance and outcomes of the meeting, we have Dr. NETH Thida Chantima being with us virtually from London as our guest speaker today. A brief background for you, Dr. Chantima has just received her PhD from City University of London, and presently she is an assistant editor at the Legal Issues Journal, a research assistant at the Information Research and Analysis Group of the Cambodian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, as well as a research fellow at Mekong Center for Strategic Studies at the Asian Vision Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Chantima to our program. Greetings, Dr. Chantima.
And thank you for having me and accommodating me all the way from London.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time with us today. So we're gonna discuss with you a few questions with regard to our topic today, which is about the outcomes of the SCO Summit and implication for Cambodia. So first, could you please briefly explain what Shanghai Cooperation Organization and how is it different from other regional grouping like Quad and ASEAN?
So the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or otherwise SCO, is the successor of the Shanghai Five. It was founded in 1996 by China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Russia. It is a Eurasian political, economic, and security organization. It's the world's largest regional organization, covering around 40% of the world's population and more than 30% of the global GDP. As of 2022, the SCO has expanded to include India, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and the most recent, Iran. The SCO organization aims is by strengthening the members' mutual trust, friendship, and good neighborliness, and it aims are also to strengthen the peace and ensuring the security and stability in the region under the environment of developing political multipolarity, economic and information globalization. The organization's areas of cooperation includes maintenance of peace, security in the region, which include the search for common positions on foreign policy issues of mutual interest with the members and international community. It also aims to cooperate jointly in the fight against terrorism, separatism, extremism, arms trafficking, illegal migration, and any other types of criminal activity of a transnational nature. This organization also aims to promote regional economic growth, aim to utilize available transportation and communication to further develop energy systems between the member states. Other areas of cooperation also include science, technology, education, healthcare, culture, sports, and tourism. How this organization differs from ASEAN or the Quad, the quadrilateral security dialogue is, first off, it's different from ASEAN in the way that ASEAN has never claimed to be a security alliance, but the SCO, it claims to include security as one of its top priority, on top of it being economic, political, and social alliance as well. SCO is very direct in the way that it addresses its methods to strengthen regional peace, security, and stability, and that it's by jointly combating what has been termed as the three evil forces, which are terrorism, extremism, and separatism. As for the internal working mechanism, the main difference between the SCO and ASEAN is that in the charter of the SCO, so Article 13, if a member is found to have violated the provisions of the charter and or systematically fails to meet its obligation under international treaties, concluded and in the SCO framework, the membership of that state may be suspended and ultimately expelled from the SCO, whereas ASEAN has no such mechanism. As for the Quad, how it differs from the SCO is that the Quad is an informal security dialogue platform rather than an established organization guided by a charter with a legal personality like the SCO. The Quad has no organizational structure, no agreed upon mechanism of decision making. And another fundamental main difference between the two is that the Quad was essentially formed because their leader shares a common vision of containing China's growing economic and military footprint in the Indo-Pacific, whereas the SCO, although without explicitly stated, it is informally known as the NATO of the East that is working to combat Western hegemony.
Specifically, what is SCO Summit? And could you tell us what countries were in the summit, which took place on 15-16 September?
The SCO Summit is an annual meeting of the members' Council Head of States, which is the supreme decision-making body of the SCO. The summit usually determines the priorities and major areas of cooperation of the organizations of the members going forward to at least the next summit. This year's summit in Samarkand, Uzbekistan was joined by all 9 member states and observer states such as Belarus, Mongolia, with the addition of Turkey, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Cambodia, along with other dialogue partners as well. And a special guest was the president of Turkmenistan, as well as the UN Under Secretary General, as a special guest of the president of Uzbekistan.
And now we move on to the third question. We would like to know, as the SCO Summit was concluded, can you briefly share us the key points of the discussion? And was there any agreement or any declaration from the summit? And if there was, what does it mean for the member as well as the relevant actors?
2 days of meeting, the SCO members adopted the Samarkand Declaration to reaffirm their commitments to the SCO Charter, adhere to a line of ruling out bloc ideologized and confrontational approaches to addressing international and regional development and countering traditional and non-traditional challenges and threats to security. The SCO reaffirms the non-targeting of SCO against other states and international organizations and openness to extensive cooperation with them in accordance with the principles of the UN Charter and international law. The Samarkand Declaration also emphasized the significance of the Shanghai spirit as a model of regional cooperation that makes a constructive contribution to strengthening mutually beneficial multilateral relations in Eurasia. The member states also intend to further develop cooperation in the fields of politics, security, state, economy, finance, and investment, cultural and humanitarian relations with the aim of building a peaceful and prosperous, environmentally friendly Earth. Through this declaration, the member states once again express their deep concerns and reaffirms their strong commitment to fight terrorism, extremism, and separatism. The member states also advocate for multilateral political diplomatic responses to global and regional challenges and threats to security, and will enhance cooperation and actively promote multilateral arms control, disarmament, and non-proliferation. The member state, through this declaration, proceed from the premise that there is no alternative political and diplomatic solutions to conflict situations in various regions of the world on the basis of strict compliance with generally recognized principle of international law. The SCO reaffirms their support for China's One Belt, One Road initiative. In addition, the SCO also adopted 4 joint statements on climate change, food security, energy security, and statement on maintaining reliable international supply chain. Furthermore, the SCO also agreed through this declaration to announce Iran's full membership, approving the request for full membership by Belarus and the request of Bahrain, Myanmar, the UAE, Kuwait, Egypt, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia and Maldives to grant them the status of dialogue partners. For the members and relevant actors, the Samarkand Declaration helps to set out clear direction of areas of cooperation and priorities for all the stakeholders. This declaration shows that even with some existing tensions among some of the members, they are still able to reach consensus and set out the scene and direction for the SCO as a whole, at least until the next summit in India next year.
Now we move on to another question. We would like to know, after we know about the outcomes of the summit, could you share us for Cambodia, how is the kingdom related to SCO and how important is SCO to Cambodia?
Cambodia is one of the dialogue partner of the SCO, meaning that Cambodia can participate and cooperate with the organization in specific areas of cooperation that are aligned with both parties' policies and strategies, such as to intensify economic growth, expand transport link, increase investment, and promote innovation. Since the SCO members contribute massively to the world's population and economy combined, they present vast opportunities for Cambodia to grow economically, politically, and socially. Since the SCO strives for regional peace, stability, and security, Cambodia can surely benefit from this environment.
Thank you, Doctor. So now, from your perspective as a researcher, do you think the current relationship between the member of the SCO, what do you think with regard to the relation between like China, Russia, and India, and how will it affect the SCO and its mandate?
Yes, so the most watched interactions of the summit was not between the 9 member states, but between Russia and China, since this is their first face-to-face meetings after the Ukraine war had commenced. Russia and China had once described their relationship as a friendship with no limits. They held a bilateral meeting on the sideline of this summit. Putin stated that we highly value the balanced position of our Chinese friends when it comes to the Ukraine crisis. Putin acknowledged that Xi Jinping had questions and concerns regarding the crisis and that they've discussed it during their meeting. However, it was not publicized any further. Although to some, this statement might present some tension between the two states, Xi Jinping did not include this in his public remarks to the SCO, but instead he stated that China would work with Russia to fulfill their responsibility as a major country and play a leading role in injecting stability and positive energy into a world of change and order. China continues to offer Russia support and stepped up their bilateral trade to a record high. In my opinion, although it sounds like China is not pleased with the fact that the Ukraine crisis is still going on, it would not risk hurting its strategic partnership with China at the expense of showing the US and its allies a chink in its armor by publicly distancing itself from a powerful ally during this fierce rivalry for international dominance, as showed by Xi Jinping's statement to the SCO by calling member states to support each other's effort to safeguard their own security and development interests and work together to prevent outsiders from instigating a color revolution. This, I believe, was China's referencing to the West's effort to topple authoritarian government in the guise of fighting for democracy, especially just before the Samarkand summit. The Biden administration had just announced a $1.1 billion arms sale to Taiwan. Whereas for India and Russia, they also held a bilateral meeting. Modi of India told Putin that today's era is not one for war, but for dialogue and democracy, and was optimistic in discussing how they can move forward on a path of peace. Echoing a language that Putin used with Xi Jinping, he stated that he knows Modi's stance on the conflict in Ukraine and the concerns that he constantly expressed, and that China will do everything to end this as soon as possible once China has recaptured Donbass, the eastern Ukrainian region where Russia recognized as independent. China's and India's statement could be seen as growing impatience and anxieties in Asia from the Ukraine crisis that has resulted in the increase of food and energy prices. Just as Xi Jinping did, Modi only mentioned this during the bilateral meeting and not to the rest of the SCO. Even if Modi wanted to present a stronger statement, it might not want to be seen as a move to please the US, since the latter had just announced $450 million sustainment program for fighter jet for Pakistan, which is, of course, India's arch rival. As for India and China, they did not hold any bilateral meeting at the SCO amidst their border disputes. China did, however, congratulate India on taking over as the next rotating presidency of the SCO and vowed to work with all parties to support India in this next role of the presidency as the SCO. At the moment, with these developments, in my opinion, these three states are still able to work together through the SCO to reach their common goals. And the SCO is not yet gridlocked since, as we've seen, they are still able to reach the consensus to reach the Samarkand Declaration. So as for now, it is still not gridlocked, but of course, I cannot say for the future.
Now we move on to the last question of our dialogue today. I would like to know, as you have mentioned earlier, that Cambodia is one of the dialogue partners of SCO. So what will be the implication of the outcomes of the summit for Cambodia?
So the adoption of the Samarkand Declaration also shows the unity of the SCO even amidst tension amongst members, and the fact that the SCO was able to reach consensus on multiple areas of cooperation. It shows resiliency in the fight against the unilateral world order with the US at the top. As Asia becomes a battleground between the rivalry of China and US, Cambodia would be under immense pressure to carefully navigate her foreign policy moving forward. As such, since the SCO reaffirms the principle of neutrality, it also benefits Cambodia's foreign policy of non-alignment. With this like-mindedness, Cambodia can join the SCO to promote an open and inclusive multipolar world order.
Thank you, Dr. Chantima, once again for your time and contribution. I look forward to having you once again in person in the near future.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Asian Vision Dialogue has now come to an end. Thank you for watching and see you next time.